Hello everybody, Dazit here, very happy to see all of you on the other side of the screen. It has been pretty hectic at Dazmod lately, but I managed to complete all the tests I wanted to do on the MORA-400, compared with a standard triple radiator, did a variety of other tests, but I would like to make it a totally separate video, and today I just want to talk about my experience of assembly and preparation of this radiator for the use. And there's a couple items that didn't work exactly as I expected, and I just wanted to let you know and give you a couple tips that maybe will be helpful for you. In my previous video we looked into the radiator itself, unboxing it, looked at all the options, and as well we checked out the manual, which is pretty helpful. It gives you a lot of details how to do the things, but now I have actual practical experience of doing what says in the manual, and also I have some footage that shows how things was done and how they look when you disassemble radiator, lay the cables and things like this. Removing the panels wasn't nothing special, it's just elbow grease. Laying cables, again, it's nothing very difficult, it just you take your time and you do it. The only little problem that I experienced was dealing with the front illumination logo for the bottom part of the radiator. This LED has two magnets that holding LED in place, but when you try to route the cable through the conduit basically or behind the panel, it gets unlatched all the time. So I had a little bit trouble to keep it in place, and finally I just took piece of duct tape and literally taped the cable in place. Then handling other side of the cable didn't result of this LED get disconnected and point in the wrong direction. So that's something that you might want to do as well. It will help you a little bit. Otherwise, after assembly is completed, it might dislodge and will be pointing its light in the wrong direction, and you have to do it again. So it's not something that you want to do. Installation of active control sample or prototype that I have wasn't also not very eventful. You remove the panel, install it instead of the logo piece that comes with the radiator itself, route your wire, and that's all you need to do. Legs as well wasn't nothing special. The LEDs that used for the ambient light, it actually goes in a groove made in the leg, so it goes through the leg in a way. So you can see it's just a simple thing that shining down. I don't know, maybe it's not really helpful. It doesn't seem that it was too bright comparing with the front logo, and especially with the LEDs that installed in Reservoir. This LED is the most bright. I think it actually looks a little bit too bright comparing with everything else. So I hope that in the future you can individually control brightness of each individual LED, and then you will have a little bit better looks, so to speak. Otherwise, this one very dim, which is okay. This one just perfect, and this one is too bright. I would tone it down if I could. Connecting the passive or active control unit wasn't nothing special as well. The only thing then, when you have a bunch of cables, like in my case I had a little bit more cables, I have all three LED coming in. I also have additional cable from the active control, so it became a little bit busy, but not something you will be problem dealing with. Installation of Reservoir gave me a little bit of the trouble, mostly because I didn't pay attention to the manual, in spite of keep telling you that you need to read the manual, but this part I'm kind of skimmed and didn't really catch up how procedures should happen. So keep in mind that if you install pump top or maybe even pump itself, then you cannot install this reservoir onto radiator. It just will not work for you. So I spent a little bit of time trying to do it and it didn't work. Then I look into the manual and turns to be that reservoir needs to be installed first into this bracket, and as well is this fitting that's sticking out of radiator, and only after that you attached pump reservoir combo. So if you wouldn't do it, it's no way you can attach it. So I spent a few minutes trying to jiggle it in, but no way. Lastly, I would like to talk to you about the fans options on this particular radiator. So I even give you a little bit of warning or heads up on what is possible, what is not. So the standard type of configuration for MORA-400 is a 4 200mm fans. Also, you can buy a different type of the bracket. So you can see this is a 200mm fans bracket for 4 fans, which you can attach and use on this radiator. But you can also buy brackets that will host 9 140mm fans. So if you already have 140mm fans, it maybe will be much cheaper option for you just to buy a bracket and attach what you have instead of buying a rather expensive 200mm fans. Also, when you look on the market, there's not so many of those models available in general. So you will have a Nocture, which is provided by Alpha-Cool, if you want to buy from them. Also, I found there's a Thermatake model, and also I found the Plantec model. This was basically like half price from Nocture. So I decided to check what if somebody, for example, don't want to buy Nocture for budgetary purposes, or maybe for the reasons that it's not available for them. So I bought a few and I wanted to attach them. Then I discovered interesting things, that the Nocture has actually 2 sets of the mounting fans. One is a 170mm distance and another one, small one, 154. And those fans that you potentially can buy separately, such as the Plantec, or I checked with Thermatake as well, they all have shorter holes, so which is 154mm. And then I discovered that the bracket doesn't have 2 holes. So if you decide to go with alternative fan solutions for 200mm fans, you actually will have to drill and tap your own holes. So that's basically what I had to do. I just used the Chromax Nocture fans as a template. I basically bolted it in place, and I make a marks with a drill on the smaller holes, drill them, tap them, and then I install those fans. So again, if you decide to go with that option, keep in mind there's not that easy. You will have to be able to make holes and tap those holes for the threading of the screws you're going to use. So this is a little bit things that you need to keep in mind. Next on the list, I ran into unexpected issue with the powering up my MORA. So we remember that we have this one single cable running from the radiator inside of your computer, and inside of your computer you have a little control box which required to be powered up with the 2 PCIe 6-pin connectors, and also have inputs for PWM and your RGB stuff. And I ran into the problem that on my test bench with a brand new Vertex power supply, which has connector for new fancy GPUs, but doesn't have enough connectors for the old stuff. And in my test bench I was running my 3080 because 4090 went into my personal rig, so that's already out of the picture. So my test bench now using 3080 with 2 PCIe type of connectors. Also I needed 2 for the motherboard, and I needed 6 for my MORA link, and I ran out of connectors. So essentially I had to run my test bench with 2 power supplies. One I use for the power up radiator fans and all this stuff, and I use other power supply basically to run my own test bench. So keep in mind, especially if you have a GPUs that have a multiple PCIe connectors, some GPUs has even 3. So when you look on your power supply, make sure that you count all necessary PCIe or CPU connections that will be enough to run your computer and run your radiator essentially. So in my particular situation I had to use 2 power supplies, which was a little bit ridiculous, but it doesn't matter. I got my test results, my temperatures, so it didn't bother me. But if I would be building actual system, I would be looking for the models that have plenty of PCIe connectors. This concludes the list of the issues or little troubles that I run when preparing my test bench. One thing I would like to end up this video with, I also played a little bit more with active control unit. Unfortunately, without software and additional accessories that wasn't released, not much you can do at this point. Also, you can't even buy it, but I couldn't do much at this point. The only functional item that works with this particular unit was ability by clicking bunch of buttons to control speed of your fans. And also I noticed that I couldn't control fans from my computer, so it seems like it's one or other. I believe the passive unit allows you to control your fans from your computer, but active control unit actually taking care about it. But from the menu structure, looking into the menu structure, I figured out that you can control your fans, you can control PWM numbers and speed of your pumps. You also have a lot of input sensors, temperature sensors, I believe some level sensors that shows that like maybe you have potential leak. You have a bunch of temperature sensors, so the unit will calculate like a delta temperature for you, things like this. So it's quite a bit of stuff that's going on. It will be competing in a way with alpha computer type of things. I'm pretty sure it will be no integration with AquaSuite, but it will be similar functionality after all, so it will be a lot of tinkering. So people who love type of things which is offered by Aqua Computer will love water cooling things as well, because it will be kind of similar level of sophistication. A lot of things you can get out of this unit, and software possibly will allow you to control things even further, not only see the numbers and results from your sensors. That's all for today. I will make next video about actual test results, so we can see how it compares with regular triple radiators and what's the difference between different speed of fans, variety of other factors that I try to use. And thank you all of you who posted on previous videos, suggested to do some tests. Actually, I use some suggestions from your points that you listed in that video. Thank you very much, and see you soon with the next video.